Alright, so today we're going to review the Kona N. This is basically the Elantra N in the Kona body. This one is completely stock right now. I'm going to do the review before we start to modify. So let's get in the car and see how this goes. Let's see if I like this or not. Alright, so we're inside the Kona now. I mean, it's a very fancy looking interior, especially for, how much was this car? Under 30? Yeah, that means it's very good. Alright, so by hitting the N button on the left, we can go through different drive modes. So normal, sport, snow, eco, back to normal. When I hit sport, I don't know if you can hear on the camera right now, but the exhaust valve opens up and you can definitely hear the growling from the back. And then it just shuts off as soon as you go to snow, eco, and normal. Now, there is an N button on the right as well. When I press that, it goes through different N settings. This particular one, we're on N standard. If I hit another one, we're N custom. This was obviously set by the owner. So it's up to you. You know, you can definitely mess around with it, change the suspension setting. If you look here, you know, it says, oh, let me go through that again. So it shows engine set at Sport Plus, steering Sport Plus, but suspension set at Sport instead of Sport Plus. That way, it's a little bit more comfortable in the ride. Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. The screen actually shows better here. So you can select different things for the custom N mode. That way, you don't have to deal with, you know, stiffer suspension, and you don't have to deal with like the LSD kicking in all the time. You know, having a little bit more comfortable ride while having fun with the engine power. He tells me this NGS button is something that, you know, ejects the passenger seat, which, yeah, no, that's not it. So NGS is basically overboost. We have to wait until the car is fully warmed up. It does give us some extra boost, and we do have to shift manually at that point, but it's basically extra horsepower for 20 seconds or so. So we'll test that out, hopefully without getting pulled over. All right, so let's go for a drive. All right. Put that AC on because I'm dying from heat. Alright, so let's hold on. Sorry, I am freakishly tall, so I have to adjust the mirrors. Alright, let's get going. So we're in normal now. I guess there's still a bit of an exhaust note even in normal, huh? Or is it because I had the N mode on?
In mode.
Okay, so I'm back in normal. Okay. It's still a torquey car in normal. I gave it maybe 15% throttle and it just pulls you right out of that corner. Oh, it shows turbo PSI and torque right on the gauge. Fancy car, especially for the price. All these digital goodies. Right now in normal, it drives like really comfortably, so like you could definitely keep this as a daily driver. You know, it's not something that just because it's an N doesn't mean it just has to be a weekend warrior type of car. It feels like, you know, there's plenty of room obviously in this because it's a smaller SUV, so you could carry a lot of passengers. You'd be able to carry a lot of baggage, or, you know, packages, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the car seems very nimble. The steering is almost immediate. Yeah, the steering is really nice. And especially, like, you know, as an SUV, you would think that it would have a lot of body roll there, but there really isn't much body roll. As much as I feel like I'm sitting a little high up, the car does drive as if I'm like solid on the ground. So it's almost like weird, the fact that the car has no body roll, although it looks and feels like it should. Alright, let's get out into the road. There's a lot of traffic today. There we go. Yeah, even in normal, this thing is super torquey. You have no problem merging into traffic. If anything, I kind of have to watch myself from hitting the guy in front of me. It seems like the power band is almost immediate. I'm going to test out to see if this power band is going to carry all the way to red line as well, because I do believe that that's very important in a sports car. Like, you don't want a car that's like super torquey down low and, you know, have to die up top, because then what's the point of that? You know, it's like the old Genesis coupes used to do that, where they have a super torquey turbo, so you think the car is fast, but by the time you get to 5,000-6,000 RPM, the car is simply running out of breath. I do believe they addressed that in the new N's, so I just want to test that out. But yeah, I mean, right now, normal mode, everything is fantastic. AC is blowing nice and cold. And this dual clutch transmission that's in this is a wet type DCT. Unlike the older DCTs that were in the Veloster NA models and the Elantra Sports, this is a wet type, which is pretty much really close to the Volkswagen DSG transmissions. So if you know about the Volkswagen DSG, they are pretty much the best dual clutch transmissions that are on cars under $100,000. And that's basically what Hyundai made. You know, it's their own version of the DSG. And it seems to be very comfortable in day-to-day driving. And again, I'm going to test it in N mode to see how quick the shifts are once we start to push it. So, I mean, right now, it feels like a fantastic car. And I just keep going back to the price point. For the price point, if you can pick this up for under 30 grand, I honestly don't know what other car can satisfy what this car actually provides for you. You know, all the room, all the power, the drivability, the practicality. I mean, we were kind of joking around that it looks like a tennis shoe, but I mean, other than that, if you like the look of it, I think it pretty much checks all the boxes for a performance car or a sports compact car under $30,000. Of course, used. I think new, they do go for over $30K. But I mean, it's doable to try to find one for under $30,000 with, you know, decent mileage. So, all right, we're actually getting closer to a spot where we can actually really get on the car to test the N mode. So we'll see how that goes. And the infotainment, I'm looking at this. This thing is fancy. I don't know if you really need any of this, because it shows a G-force, torque, turbo, horsepower, lap timer. I mean, it shows how much throttle I'm using. Shows, yeah, it's over the top, more than what you need, but it's definitely cool to have. Just don't get lost in looking at this while you're driving so you don't hit anybody. But yeah, it almost kind of reminds me of the R34 GTRs, where they had this screen in the middle that shows all the different gauges digitally. And, you know, that was mind-blowing when that first came out. So, like, this definitely reminds me of something like that. So, it's really cool that, you know, Hyundai decided to add these little features. I guess Hyundai has always been the best bang for the buck type of car. And this definitely checks all the boxes. You know, you have, again, like, practicality, you have the performance. Like, what else do you really need? I guess the only thing that I would really, really have hoped that Hyundai did for this was provide an all-wheel drive option. Maybe like a battery-powered rear, you know, make it a hybrid Kona N. You know, just have a straight battery-powered rear wheels, just so that you have that all-wheel drive advantage. And at that point, you'll be able to even put like a bigger turbo on, since you're going to have the instant torque from the electric motors in the back. But I mean, I guess if they did that, the car will be another $10,000 more too. So there's that. All right, so I'm gonna try the N mode right here. So we're gonna go to N. Exhaust opened up, and let me get on it. Okay. As a front-wheel drive, there's definitely is torque steer, but it's not bad. Torque steer is not crazy enough where you're gonna lose control. And the road I'm on right now is very bumpy too, so it actually took that with grace. And that was on standard N mode, not the custom N mode. The suspension is nice and stiff. The transmission shifted. The suspension is nice and stiff. Did I say transmission? Suspension is nice and stiff. The transmission actually shifts on point very, very quick. It's a stop sign here. Does this have a launch control system?
It does have launch control.
How do we do that?
You will go to this screen. You will press the brake as hard as you can and then let out on the brake. Smash it and then push the floor.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I like that.
that was definitely a fun feature. It's very low on the RPMs, but it does let you adjust if you wanted to adjust up and down on the RPMs for the launch RPM. But they do have to keep it low, because keep in mind this car is turbo and the torque kicks on right away. So if you go too high with it and build too much boost, you're gonna just sit there at the light and just burn your tires off. That was actually a very good launch off the line. This thing just pulls around corners. I really like it. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the same thing as, let me actually put it back into normal mode, that way we can talk and not have to worry about the suspension being hard. All right, so I think as a car that you can compromise between daily driving and fun, I think this is a great car to get. Now, is it a best track car you can get for under the money? I think no. For the best track experience, I would stick with the Elantra N because of the lower center of gravity. Right, the car itself, like I said, doesn't really have much body roll, but I think because of the higher center of gravity on an SUV, you are going to run into a disadvantage when you're going to a track day compared to the Elantra N. But it wins out in practicality. You know, it wins out on the daily drivability. It wins out on the visibility out the window. So you will have to decide, you know, what's worth it to you. Is it worth more to, you know, have that all on full on sports car type of deal, or do you want a compromise where you can actually daily drive? You can go to Home Depot, pick up some lumber if you need to, you know, pick up some tools if you need to, and not have to worry about it. Is it going to fit in my car? I would say I would give this car the benefit of doubt. I would say it will be about 95% of the performance of the Elantra N. I only deduct 5% because of the height of the car versus the Elantra N. Everything else is pretty much the same. I believe the weight is really close between the two as well. So in a straight line, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference between the two cars, other than the fact that this car would have more aerodynamic disadvantages compared to the Elantra N. So again, that's something that you have to make the decision on, whether you want the full-time sports car or if you want something that has practicality on top of the performance. But if you're looking for something that's, you know, in this range, in the small SUV range, but still want to have fun, I think this is definitely the car to get. I'm sure there's a million more things on here as features-wise that I can go over, but I mean, performance-wise, I think this thing pretty much checks all the boxes as a small SUV that can really scoot. How many performance SUVs out there that has standard launch control from factory? Lamborghini Urus, right? For 1/10 of the price, you can have this, and you don't have to worry about, you know, $5,000 maintenance cost every year. So, yeah, this is definitely a car I would recommend to somebody that is looking for practicality and fun drivability at the same time. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for the review itself. I'm going to actually look at the interior, look at the trunk area, and see how roomy it is. I did take a look before, and I know how roomy it is, but I'm sure the viewers would want to see that as well. So we'll do that. We'll take a look under the hood and show you what's under the hood as well. So if you're into that, just stay tuned. Once I get back, I'll open up everything and we'll go over that. All right. All right, so she's all opened up. Let's take a look. So this is the 2.0 N engine. The Kona and the Elantra N actually ends up with a bigger turbo than the Veloster N does. That's why we actually noticed that holding power better up top. When I got on it in full N mode, it kept pulling all the way to red line without any drop off in power. It is a great car, has a nice flat power band all the way to red line. interior wise, it's a very decent. That's actually me sitting down there. I'm 6'2", so the seat's pretty much back all the way. That way you can actually see the back. So back seat wise, I guess, you know, you could fit small children in the back with me pushed all the way back. But I did have a lot of leg room. So if I had people in the back, I could inch it up a little bit and give some room. It does have a decent space in the back for how small this SUV is. You know, has a decent amount of cup holders and little cubbies that you could throw things in. Let's look back here. That's the thing about Hyundais, you know, they have all these USBs everywhere. So they know people are gonna wanna charge up their phones and everything like that. So everything's accessible. Here's a trunk. That's pretty big, especially for the size of the car. Comes with a tire inflator kit in case you get a flat tire. Underneath, let's see what's in here. So they have a spot for a spare tire, but it looks like they just don't give you a spare tire. It's probably most likely to save weight. So they give you a mobility kit instead. And by saving weight, it pretty much makes the car faster for you. Okay, the easiest way to go faster is lose weight. So there you have it. It comes with these really cool looking set of wheels. I know a lot of Elantra guys actually end up buying the Kona's OEM wheels to upgrade on their cars because these are pretty fantastic looking wheels. They actually do also have a N bigger brake in the back compared to the regular Konas. And the suspension, again, like we saw earlier in the inside infotainment, you can change, let's see here, so you can change all the different settings like engine, steering, suspension, transmission, electronic LSD, electronic stability control, and exhaust sound. That's all controllable right on the screen. You can customize and save it to your N button. All right, so if you're in the market, you're looking for this car, don't hesitate, go test drive one, see how you like it. I think you will end up loving it. And like I said, for the amount of money you're going to spend on this Kona, this is probably going to be the best small SUV performance car you're going to find on the market. Best bang for your buck. I recommend it highly to those that are in the market for a car like this. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.